based on your mileage. About every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, you need to change your oil. You can check your oil based on its dipstick. Everything in a car, in an engine bay, this whole area is labeled usually on every single car. If there's ever anything you need to check, you can just pop the hood. It'll probably say it on a cap somewhere or a stick. Your engine oil stick will almost always be yellow. It'll say engine oil on it. You'll pull it out, wipe it, stick it back in, take it out, and then you can see your oil level for your car. It'll always be in between these two dots. That means it's full. If it's ever below the two dots, that's empty, and you need to get it full quick. Whenever the oil is light yellow, pale, it means it's healthy, clean. If it's ever dark, black, brown, low, you need to get it changed. It's dirty. If you're ever driving and you hear a knocking sound, and then you pull out that stick and there's no oil on it, you need to get to the nearest car shop as possible. It usually means your engine's about to die or it is dying. That's if you get an oil change and you go over 10,000 miles between those oil changes. Or maybe you have a leak and the oil is leaking. But if you ever hear this sound while you're driving, stop immediately, call someone, find a car shop near you. The next really important fluid is the transmission. This one here. These ones you check while the car is on. These out. These are little coupons for Take 5 for an oil change. You guys want to come by? Your transmission fluid does the same thing as oil does for an engine. It keeps all the gears inside the engine and, well, for the transmission. Basically, just a bunch of gears that rotate and they grind on each other. The fluid in there keeps them from chipping, breaking, rusting. Whenever you check your transmission, it's kind of the same thing as like an oil dipstick. It'll have notches. It's always notches or dots or lines. Sometimes the end of the stick will say full or low. You'll just read it based on the top notch and the last notch. Mine's sitting about halfway, so it's low-ish. If you're ever wanting to fill up your fluids by yourself, you can go to any auto parts store, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, Auto Parts. Tell them the year, make, and model of your vehicle and what you're wanting to work on, and they'll usually just pull the fluid for you. You don't really have to know anything else other than your year, make, and model to get that kind of stuff. Every car has two filters. Most cars have two filters. There's a engine air filter. That's this right here. They usually look a little bit like this. This filters all the air coming into the engine. It filters out dust, bugs, grass, dirt, debris, whatever. These usually last around 6 months. This is the most important filter for your vehicle. If you ever go in for oil changes and they start digging around in your engine, pulling out filters, always check for this one first. Whenever these get really filled up with dust and dirt and stuff, it makes it really difficult for your engine to breathe. Makes your gas, it kind of kills your gas mileage. It just puts a lot of stress on the engine that doesn't need to be there. So always make sure these are clean. They usually always check them when you come in for oil changes. So and they're good for like 6 months usually. So change them whenever they say to change them. 1 second as I get this back in here. The other filter is the cabin air filter. That's what your air conditioning runs through. They're on the passenger side of the car, behind the glove box. They'll usually check it for you if you go in to get oil changes, places that Take 5, Quick Car, things like that. Those you change out like once a year. You don't really have to worry about those as often. You know you need to change it like if you turn on your car and you start smelling a weird smell. It smells mildewy or dusty or just kind of gross. It usually means you need to change out your cabin air filter. I would show you on mine, but my car is really dirty right now, so I don't want to. Basic fluids, brake fluid, power steering. If you're ever driving your car down the road and you notice that your wheel is kind of locking up, it's not turning in full rotation, that usually means you're low on power steering. You can go to any auto parts store or oil change facility, and usually you just tell them what's happening with your wheel. They'll fill up the fluid, you'll be good to go. Brake fluid you usually don't have to worry about. They check it at most places when you get your oil done. Coolant. Does anyone know what coolant is? Yeah? Okay. If you're ever driving down the highway, like you're on a long trip or whatever, over an hour long, and your car has a light on it that says it's overheating or it's low on coolant, and you open up your hood, don't ever take the cap off right away. So this is a coolant cap. It's usually a silver. It's usually silver. Sometimes it's like a, mine doesn't have it. Mine's a little like cap like this. You don't usually have to worry if it's a cap. Coolant reservoirs are almost always pressurized. So if you're ever on the side of the road and it's saying you have coolant issues, find the largest tube in your engine bay, squeeze it. If you can squeeze it and it pinches easy, then you can check your coolant. If you squeeze it and there's no give, then do not open your coolant, it will explode. It's a very hot fluid and it can hurt you really bad. So if you ever have those lights on, just go to a car place. Call your parents, call a tow, whatever. Just don't check it by yourself. Yeah. Does anyone here have a diesel? Drive diesel? You do? You do? Does it take diesel? Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah. All right, let's go.